Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the ERSCA Belly Up Sports Series NASCAR race here from Daytona. Don Santina alongside David Westergreen. Of course, Carlos Acosta and 3-Wine TV bringing you the production here in this one. David, welcome back. How was your 2-week break?
It was great, Dom. Got to go on vacation. Just a great time last week for the 4th of July, and we're refreshed. We're ready to get back after it at Darlington, which is easily one of my favorite tracks on this service. It is, and in real life, it is just such a great driver's track with each end of the track being completely different. I'm looking for guys to have extreme tire wear tonight and have to manage their tires. Looking for close racing, difficulty passing. It's going to be a great show, and I trust these ERSCA guys to put on a hell of a performance.
Not only that, with the 2-week break, we have ended the regular season, and we are now officially into our postseason, our playoffs, race number 1 here of Darlington. Carlos on it right away. Bring it up. Your playoff drivers here on your screen for you.
Yeah, and I think we can look through this list and see 12 different guys with a very strong opportunity to championship. Obviously, you've had your kind of big three in Kwame Scott, Cameron Richan, and Delicado. Nick Massey has come on of late, being very effective, winning last week at Daytona. Tate Lytle's always strong and always a threat, and I certainly wouldn't be shocked to see him win this thing. Last year's champion Ryan Lutz, of course. And some of these newcomers like Mark Whitley and Seth Rawls into the chase. And Rawls has been consistent, and there's no reason that you can't be consistent and win a championship in this format. The good thing about this chase format, there's no eliminations. So you have to be perfect every race in order to go ahead and win the championship. And the chase for the championship starts right here at Darlington. So if you have a bad race here, you'll be playing catch up, and it'll be very difficult to get back through there and to pick up that championship. So we'll have our eye on all of our chase drivers tonight. They will have a red banner and some splitters and some spoilers red, but most importantly, that red chase banner you'll be on the lookout for as you watch these drivers fly around Darlington.
Yeah, kind of the old style playoffs, as you might say, going with the full race schedule and not breaking it out into segments. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, our 2 defending champions, Nick Massey and Ryan Lutz, both in the hunt here of those 12 cars. So we'll see if we can have our first repeat champion as well.
Right, and I think there's a lot of guys in there that can challenge for sure. You look for Tate Lytle and Ethan Burrell. Burrell's been really strong this season, but I think back to our Darlington race last year, right? It was either caution-free or one early caution, very long stretches of green flag racing, and then it was a battle between Ryan Lutz and Nick Massey and Ethan Burrell at the end of the race, and that kind of set the tone for the chase, throughout, where it was Ryan Lutz winning, and then everyone was kind of playing catch up.
Well, we'll see how this one plays out for sure. Looks like we're going to go to our qualifying session. So we'll see how our starting lineup will unfold.
Here's one of our big chase guys, Tate Lytle. We'll have to see how he qualifies here tonight. There's a lot of guys in here that can also steal a win. I think you look through the field and you look through those practice times, a lot of these guys that are fast are not in our playoff picture. Scott Crump being maybe chief among those. Also think about some of these guys who are making debuts tonight. We do have one in Gavin Hibbs, who was pretty fast in practice, and I'd look for him to maybe make some waves in his first race. Points leader Kwame Scott. He'll be one of those guys to look out for, I think, in terms of speed here at Darlington. It kind of fits Atlanta, the tracks that he's won at this year, the short tracks, the driver tracks. I'll look for Kwame Scott to be fast tonight, put down maybe close to a pole lap, if not a pole lap. He's won a lot of poles this season as well. This is the time to start on that chase, that championship grind is right here in qualifying.
Jared Mogard, Jack Eli, Mark Whitley, all coming out on track for their qualifying runs.
Yep, we'll keep an eye on it. Joe Francis went about like the time that Joe Francis just put down was about 5th fastest in practice. So I think qualifying speeds are going to be up from practice. And oh, there goes Gerald Campbell. Wiping it out in turn 1. Turn 1 is a little bit on edge all the way through. It's basically 2 corners. You have to slow for that first corner, drift up to the wall, then drive down off the banking to avoid hitting that turn 2 wall. Turn 3, I've been told, very, very slick on the bottom. You really want to run near the top, near the wall in 3 and 4 all the way around to get that good run off and down the front straightaway, where you can run that kind of typical Darlington dime, drifting out to the wall in the middle of the corner and then driving it down off. Kwame Scott fastest early, and he ran a lap that would have put him 2nd fastest in practice. So really good start to the qualifying session for Scott. Nick Indelicato now 3rd on the board, so not a pole level run for Indelicato. He's about a 10th off of Kwame Scott. Nick Massey's broken out the silver and red car, and it's not going to be enough. Massey bins it in qualifying.
Guys having some trouble here. We'll see how they can regroup during the actual race.
That just tells me that the first lap's going to be very treacherous on those new tires. Cooper Johnson now making his qualifying run, heading on about 13th on the board. Ryan Lutz just ran into P2. Kwame Scott's lap looking very, very good. Mark Whitley is at P6 currently, but that is subject to change as more guys go out. About half the field hasn't run a lap yet. Here's Johnny Thomas.
Ethan Burrell has qualified in about 10th as it stands right now.
And not the speediest of laps from Ethan. Johnny Thomas times in near the back of the field here. It's still Kwame Scott, Ryan Lutz, Joe Francis, Nick Indelicato at the top. Nick Massey went out and put down a lap, though. He'll take 2nd from Ryan Lutz. Massey makes the most of his opportunity after spinning on lap 1, so a good recovery for Nick Massey. And a couple of guys jump to the top of the board. Tate Lytle, number 1, Hank Steinmiller, number 2. And they really got ahead of Kwame Scott. I mean, Tate Lytle's lap, the fastest in the session by far. Tate's not fooling around here. He's here to win this championship, and that starts right here. Anyone left that's maybe a pull threat? Cameron Rich is on track. Rich, though, does only times in 22nd, so that'll do it for qualifying. Tate Lytle is your pole winner.
Couple of our heavy hitters, actually the whole top 5 really heavy hitters here for this championship. Gonna make it interesting early.
All right, let's take a look at the starting grid and get our picks in before this thing goes green. Tate Lytle, Hank Steinmiller, the front row. Points leader Kwame Scott, Nick Massey, 3rd and 4th. Ryan Lutz and Joe Francis, the 3rd row. There's Nick Indelicato in 7th. Garen Turner qualifies 8th. Strong run for the 20 car. Wyatt Nadel, 9th. Daniel Martinez, 10th. Mark Whitley, chase driver, is 12th there. Sorry.
Scott Crump in 11th. Ethan Burrell 13th. Gavin Hibbs will make his start from 14th. Josh Adams 15th. Seth Rawls will start 17th. Cooper Johnson will round out the top 20.
Just missing the playoffs by a tiebreaker was Matthew Weeks. He'll start 21st. Matthew Bayuk is one of our chasers. He's there in 22nd. Cameron Rich starting back in 23rd. He'll have to climb his way through the field in the 47 car. Jared Mogard will come up from 26th on the grid. That's it for the chase drivers, I believe. So let's go to our picks here. Carlos, why don't we start with you here for chase pick number 1, and maybe we'll also give our championship picks before the chase starts.
All right, I'm going to go with a kind of controversial pick. It is a playoff driver. I'm going to go with Cameron Rich for both tonight's race and the championship.
A shocker for everyone, I'm sure. You know what? I'll go He asked me not to pick him, but I'm going Hank Steinmiller. He's a big fan of Darlington. I think that 63 car is going to get her done. And then for the championship, I am going to say that the guy is going to lead start to finish. I'll go Kwame Scott on the championship.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Tate Lytle for the race win here tonight, and we're gonna go with Ethan Burrell for the championship.
All pro edge pick for tonight. I like it. I have this feeling, and that Tate Lytle is he's going to be really hard to beat in this championship run. And none of us picked him, and I think that's perfectly okay because there's so much talent in this ERSCA series. But Tate Lytle just feels like the guy who's going to get it done, especially with a lap like that to set the tone in qualifying in this first chase race. I think Steinmiller's ready to go. And so are we for the Harpoon Design 200 from Darlington. Tate Lytle, Hank Steinmiller, the front row. Pace car is off. We don't yet have the restart zone, I don't believe, but the first restart is on green. And there it is. Green flag is out. Tate Lytle gets going. Kwame Scott alongside Hank Steinmiller already. Into turn one they go side by side. Steinmiller has that preferred line in the center of the corner, and Scott backs out of it.
Front three establishing themselves early. Everyone else going to kind of single file as well as we go through. Coming around to complete lap number one.
Delicato the inside of Joe Francis on that bottom, that treacherous bottom, and Delicato's going to make it work. Francis, though, kind of that preferred outside line. They'll be side by side entering turn one, and Delicato, the playoff driver, Francis not really racing for anything. They're going to get real close together in turn one, and Francis is going to take over that sixth position from Nick and Delicato. No favors there from Joe Francis to Indelicato. No, rolling over for the playoff driver, it seems. Delicato's going to have to earn that spot from the 50 car.
Absolutely. These guys are going to take every opportunity that they can to kind of play spoiler and mess things up for those guys outside of the playoffs and just try to finish their season on a high note.
Yep. And lead change, Hank Steinmiller goes around Tate Lytle. Hank is just a big fan of Darlington, always runs well here in every series he ever runs, and Tate is definitely saving his tires. The couple of times I've run Darlington with Tate, that's his MO. First 5 laps, taking care of our stuff, then we're going after it. But I also see a little crinkle in the right front fender of Tate Lytle's car. I'm wondering if he might have hit the wall early in this one. Going back and taking a look here. He sure did. Tate Lytle's been in the wall. That's what got Hank Steinmiller the run that got him the lead. You see just how jittery these cars are exiting the corner. Tate is now keeping Steinmiller right at bay, right at 1/10 of a second. But it was here in 3 and 4 where Tate just drifted up and bounced it off the fence.
Front three have put a little bit of gap in between them and Nick Massey, and Massey's kind of on his own little island right now as he's pulled away from Ryan Lutz and the rest of the pack behind him.
Ryan Lutz 5th there, and he really hasn't made that charge up to the front that I was kind of expecting, but you'll notice a lack of Damian Leininger's number 12 car in this race. Damian is on the box for Ryan Lutz since he didn't make the playoffs last week. And, he said every time that he runs the box for Lutz always runs better. And, Damian's having Lutz keep a cool head right now, understanding the bigger picture that he doesn't need to go up and try to pass these guys right now. They can wait, save tires, be there on the long run. He knows Lutz has race-winning pace, and so does Lutz, but, so I'm sure sometimes Lutz, when he's back in traffic a little bit, he gets to driving over his head and ruins those tires and, and then ends up making later mistakes. So that calming presence is definitely going to help Ryan Lutz here throughout the chase. Not a whole lot of passing going on, by the way. Most of this field spread out, single file, logging laps, trying to get to the next stage of this race when things start to be more racy when you've got guys on older tires, guys on new tires coming forward after pit stops. We will have, I believe, 2 pit stops in this race. This is a pretty long race, but usually at Darlington you're at 55 to 60 laps, so right on that edge of being able to make it on 1 stop.
You were thinking the same thing I was too, David, trying to find some sort of battle to look at. There is nothing going on right now.
Yep. The biggest mover early, Andy Trupiano, up to 27th from 32nd. So just 5 spots, really, and that's throughout the entire field. Guy closest to the front that's moved forward is Daniel Martinez. He's up to 8th from 10th starting spot. Mark Whitley just behind. He's up to 10th from 12th. Right now, Joe Francis is kind of the one holding up this group. And Delicato, you saw, didn't get past him on that first lap and has now lost a second to Ryan Lutz. And it looks kind of like Francis is holding up the 01, the 9 a little bit. But there's just not much room to pass here at Darlington. These guys taking it easy early in this race. Trying to find that grip as their tires scrub off here as we hit lap 10. This doesn't surprise me, though. Darlington is such a driver's track. You have to be, as I think there's a battle between Turner and Whitley, and Whitley thinks better of it. This is a driver's track. You have to be racing against the racetrack in order to have success at Darlington. And if you're focused on the other drivers, you'll either get into an incident or you'll, misdrive the car and run into the wall. You have to run your race first before you start working on, passing and driving with other cars around you. And we see it right now throughout the field. These guys taking care of each other through, 11 laps here at Darlington. Whitley's going to get a run on Turner right here, and he's as close as he's been, looking to the outside here entering turn 1. That's a risky move for chase driver Mark Whitley. He's going to make it stick on the top. And Whitley drives around Garen Turner, a bold move, aggressive, but necessary as Whitley moves to 9th. Ooh, bit of a block there, and now Crump is inside Turner because of the lag. And I don't know where Crump's car is. I'm sure nobody else does, and Crump does clear Garen Turner, so they make it out of there without an incident. I'm sure screaming on the radio is that 20 car that they don't know where the 51 is. You'll likely get a warning from admins and race control to tone down the blinking or be black flag. And that was all right in front of Ethan Burrell, one of our championship contenders.
Battle back here around the 27th position. Andy Trupiano and Vincent Isabella doing battle.
Vincent Isabella in a battle on the racetrack? I've never seen that. Vincent, of course, one of the more aggressive drivers, but he's also one of those guys who's going to, give it his all every lap, and he's going to find a way around you. Loves to run hard in the early part of the run, try to build as much of a gap as he can, and Trupiano might have scrubbed the wall there, and that might give the advantage to the 15 car down the front straightaway. In fact, it does. Isabella clears for that spot. Looking back up front, and I'm just kind of monitoring the laps between Lytle and Steinmiller. Tate Lytle has been about 1/100 of a second faster each of the last 3 laps over Hank Steinmiller. He's just slightly closing that gap. And Kwame Scott has just maintained that pace right on the back number of Tate Lytle. Last time, though, Steinmiller turned it up a little bit. Tate was about 1/100 of a second slower that time. So they are just trading those laps, running very similar times. This front 3 trying to pull away from Massey and Lutz.
Looked at Cameron Rich here for a minute. He's kind of just sitting back here riding too, even though he's back in the 23rd position. Not really too eager to make too many moves. He's going to pick up 1 spot here after Cooper Johnson gets into the wall, so we'll move him up to the 22nd position.
see things like that, right? It's a driver mistake, like Cooper Johnson made right there, and it's just so difficult to race at Darlington. Cooper making a move to try to go around someone, ends up in the wall, ends up losing all those spots and all that work that he put in. It's now the battle right in front of Cameron Rich is Matthew Weeks and Matthew Bayuk. Bayuk, another chase driver, along with Rich. Two of them kind of the low men on the totem pole thus far, and I think behind them Jared Mogard as well. Not the best start, but it's a long way to go tonight. Here comes Rich on Bayuk, and he's got him. Bayuk lets him have it. Entering turn one, the Shift Esports number 29. Oh, battle for second. Battle is actually over. Kwame Scott jumped underneath Tate Lytle, but could not make anything happen. Tate had closed to within a tenth of a second on Hank Steinmiller. Then Kwame jumped underneath him, and that ensuing battle allowed Hank to gain that 10th back and then even more. And that allows Nick Massey to gain a bunch of time on them. So now he's just at a second behind, and Ryan Lutz has maintained that 2-second gap from Hank Steinmiller.
Top 10 really starting to get spread out here. Other than your front three, the only two that are even close to each other are Joe Francis and Nick Indelicato back in 6th and 7th position. Otherwise, everyone else in the top 10 kind of running on their own right now.
Caution's out. Andy Trupiano is disconnected. That's going to be, and Jack Eli as well in the 81 car. And that all happened because Ty McIntosh got into Trupiano. Trupiano had hit the wall next to Vincent Isabella and had started to fall back, and looks like a little bit of contact there. Triggered an incident. Drew Eisenman's going to get into Trupiano. Johnny Thomas is going to be involved in this. Nowhere for anybody to go. Eli gets spun. Some heavy damage there for some of the guys back in 25th to 30th place. McIntosh, Eli, not full-time in this series. Just some one-off races for those guys, and a tough break for them. Johnny Thomas, obviously the owner of the league. And Trupiano's been here since race 1 this year, but has had about that level of luck.
Everybody down pit road.
Yep, that's a no-brainer. Everyone making that first pit stop. There are 6 tires, including the one they started the race on. So after this pit, there will be 4 sets left for everybody. Hank's gonna get first off pit road. I believe he got Tate Lytle. That was close at the line, because Tate didn't quite have as far to go to reach that timing line. Wonder how much damage was on that 56 car. Looks like the top 5 stayed exactly the same off pit road. But Nick Indelicato does get Joe Francis on pit road, so moving Delicato up to 6th. I know that the scoring doesn't say it. Ty McIntosh drove across the line there to get into his pit box. But Indelicato will be now 6th. And I think pit road's definitely a place where if you can gain some spots there, that will be huge in your effort to win this race. You got to be lights out on pit road, both under green and under caution. Just wondering if we were going to get anybody in the infield care center. Potentially Johnny Thomas, though it looks like he's still out there and running, even with the damaged number 83 car. Cameron Rich cracks the top 20 after this pit stop. Matthew Bayuk's 21st, Jared Mogard is 22nd. Those are the lowest chase drivers. Mogard and Bayuk are the only two that are not on your scoring pylon there on the left. Everybody else in the playoffs is up there in the top 11. I wonder if we're going to see a little more aggression from maybe Ryan Lutz or maybe even a Nick Indelicato here on this run as Hank Steinmiller chooses that bottom lane. So it appears very difficult to pass. And so this first lap after the restart is going to be the most crucial lap in this next run to determine, the track position, because it seems like this front six very equally matched.
Lights out on the pace car. We're going to get ready to go back green.
Still 34 cars on the racetrack, so a whole lot of potential for action tonight. 24 laps down. We'll come to lap 25. Remember that lap 67 will be a points for the top 10, which is crucial here in the chase. And I believe this pit stop will allow these guys to get there. So no shuffling the running order, trying to stay out. I think they'll just drive straight through halfway, get their playoff point, try to make it to get this to the end of this race on one more stop, and then be on their way. Pace car is off.
Good jump for Steinmiller.
Yep, Hank goes early, and Ryan Lutz in that chat, benefiting from the voice communications. Pushes Kwame Scott through to second. Lutz gets third. Tate Lytle falls to fourth. Massey falls to fifth. The inside lane really benefiting from Steinmiller and Lutz working together. And I wonder if Ryan Lutz going to try to put some pressure on Kwame Scott for that second position. Another guy who got a good jump there was Vincent Isabella. Looks like he picked up two spots there. Those Apex Sim Racing guys trying to work together. One guy who did not like that first pit stop, Daniel Martinez, started 10th, was up in 8th. He's back in 26th now. I think Steinmiller is half a second on Kwame Scott also, so you can't fall back into the field. I think you gotta stay up in the front of the field. The track position disadvantage is just too great. I think it'll be very difficult for Daniel Martinez to get back to where he was running in the top 10.
Got some battles just outside the top 10. Gavin Hibbs looking for a position on the inside of Josh Adams.
Adams backs out of it, but Beers is right there. They almost hit the wall and almost make contact. Everybody okay. Down the back straightaway, Chad Bear in this battle. Weeks is now in this battle. Wyatt Nadel in this battle. Jared Campbell. He's going to clear by Josh Adams. Nope, he doesn't. They're still side by side. Adams ran the preferred line. Beers now clears Bear. That'll open the door for Matthew Weeks. Now Beers dives underneath Josh Adams as Campbell gets clear of the 95. Bear sideways in turn 2. He checks up. Gonna lose a couple of spots, including one to Seth Rawls, the playoff driver. Oh, and Bayou got into Isabella. A lot of action here in this group as now Isabella swings underneath Mogard, makes it through there. Cameron Rich, Matthew Bayuk, Seth Rawls, all kind of part of this battle. And you can't win the playoff on race 1, but you can certainly lose it. If one of those guys were to get sucked up into an incident, that might be their playoff hope right there. Kwame Scott has kind of eaten into the Hank Steinmiller lead, by the way. He's knocked it down a 10th. Lutz is about a second behind. So Ryan Lutz staying within striking distance, but not going extremely hard to try to get up there and take the lead, which that's what Ryan Lutz wants to do.
Top 7 on the racetrack right now, all playoff drivers.
What it's worth, that lap, Hank Steinmiller, Kwame Scott, Ryan Lutz, they were separated by 2/100ths of a second between them. The 3 lap times were all within 2/100ths of a second of each other. Guys are absolutely running identical laps right now. Tate Lytle's fallen a little bit now into 4th, and Mark Whitley has jumped up to 7th. So Whitley has joined the top group of chase drivers, and now it's chase guys 1 through 7.
Scott Crump just made the pass on Joe Francis. Takes over the 8th position.
And that may open the door for Ethan Burrell here down the back straightaway. Ethan is close to the back bumper of Francis. Thinks better of it for now, and Francis kind of has the car under him once again, but Burrell's still very close, looking to make a move. We know Ethan's got the speed to get up there for these guys, but as of right now, just kind of mired in traffic, and that's what's going to be one of the biggest keys of this race, is to get that track position and try to get up towards the front. Hank Steinmiller has already gotten that track position, qualifying 2nd, taking the lead on lap 3. He has not relinquished it yet.
Still a lot of time to go here before we get to that halfway point, but right now, 8 out of the top 10 are playoff drivers, so some people are going to pick up a little bit more points than others, depending on where you finish in the top 10. But for the most part, a lot of our playoff drivers up here are going to pick up some points if it continues the same way.
Right, and Steinmiller, obviously not one of the top-end guys. You know, he's back in about 7th or so. The rest of these guys are kind of the top 5, plus Mark Whitley. So Steinmiller really trying to get his name into this group. You're going to have performances like this if you want to win this championship from that lower group. You have to step up and win one of these races and get that halfway point, you know, the 10 points that you can earn in the halfway. You know, maximize your effort each race. That's how Ryan Lutz won his championship last year. That's how Massey won the first ERSCA championship. You have to be good throughout the chase. That time by Hank Steinmiller, a little bit faster than Kwame Scott. Ryan Lutz a little bit faster than Kwame Scott. All still within a 1/10 of a second overall in terms of lap times. Top 11 have a pretty sizable gap, about a 1.5 seconds back to the battle between Gerald Campbell and Gavin Hibbs. And Adams, Josh Adams, who now goes underneath Campbell in 3 and 4. Ethan Burrell still working on Joe Francis in the foreground. Background, you see the battle between Campbell and Adams. And that kind of resolves itself as Adams unable to make that move on the 31 car of Campbell. Now Adams going to make a move down the back straightaway. But now Austin Beers is going to get around Adams on the outside. Battle is back here at about 12th, 13th. 14th now as Austin Beers climbs the hill to try to go around Adams. Almost got in the door. And here comes Matthew Weeks on Beers. Beers slipped up entering turn 1 and a caution behind. Maybe Wyatt Nadel saves it. Darlington is known for not throwing cautions for sideways race cars, and it doesn't once again. Johnny Eckert did have to throw our first caution of the day. And right there, I don't think anything now warrants the caution. Seth Rawls is going to be the biggest benefactor of that. He ends up 17th. Cameron Rich is going to be about a 1.5 seconds behind. All right, let's check out the replay of that. Like maybe a kind of a stack up there entering the corner, and Nadel got run into by Bear. Yep, that's going to be exactly what happened. Cameron Rich, great job avoiding that. Jared Mogard just went around Vincent Isabella. That was for 20th. So now all of our chase drivers are up into the top 20. And there's a battle for the lead right now. Kwame Scott going after Hank Steinmiller.
He's got it.
Yep, Kwame Scott to the race lead at Darlington. Hank peeks underneath, but Kwame able to get that drive down the hill. Ryan Lutz is going to pick up a ton of ground as Steinmiller bobbles off of turn 2 and give Ryan Lutz second place. So just like that, Hank Steinmiller went from leading to third in one corner. Wonder if Hank didn't quite save the tires as well as he thought he did. Another battle on track there. Looks like Adams going after Hibbs. He gets it. A lot of battles on track, actually. This run a lot more racy than the last run. It's now Campbell and Adams get into each other coming off of turn 2. Hibbs bounced off the wall. Matthew Weeks tries to take advantage. They'll both sling around Gerald Campbell. This will bring Seth Rawls, Cameron Rich right back into the race. Jared Mogart in this pack as well as Matthew Bayou. And there goes Weeks on Gavin Hibbs. Oh, Hibbs hit the wall. Hibbs pounded the wall. The debut driver running the Zishandura number 10 has smacked the fence and dropped about 8 positions. Carlos pulling out the little pen with that right front damage. The telestrator. Kwame Scott has gotten that lead and he has shot out to a sizable 1 second margin. Ryan Lutz must have gotten the wall or something. He's given up second and about to give up third to Tate Lytle and fourth to Nick Massey. Lytle clears Lutz. Massey clears Lutz. What happened to Ryan Lutz?
By the way, Ethan Burrell finally got around Joe Francis as well, and now he's looking to go after Scott Crump. Puts himself in the 9th position, looking to make it a top 8 of all playoff drivers.
Lutz did hit the wall exiting turn 2 a couple of laps ago. That costs him a couple of positions. And it's going to give him some of that damage to have to work with. That hurts your right front tire, hurts your drive off the corner. Burrell definitely starting to get aggressive. He knows that halfway point coming up.
By the way, there's a significant gap from about 11th position back to 12th between Gary and Turner and Josh Adams. It's like 3.5 seconds between the two.
Yeah. Top 11 have really pulled away. All right, well, we've got a bit of a lull in the action. Let's bring quickly up Ty McIntosh from the Airfield Care Center. Hi, it's David in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Now, give us a real quick synopsis of what happened out there.
Honestly, just Robert checked up pretty hard. And Trupiano tried to take advantage of that, and I think Andy just caught the wall a little bit, and then obviously you got to get out of the wall, and I was just a little too close to him for it to not net code us, and it just kind of collected everybody there. So it sucks. Definitely the race that I prepared the most for, and felt like I was doing pretty good, but over this early, it's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, hit it for you, man. Any shout-outs before we send you off here?
SR Design, Shift Esports, those guys have helped me out a lot lately from what I used to do in ERSCA, which was being in the back, but looking forward to hopefully getting a full-time season in again next year and trying to finish out the season strong.
Appreciate it, man. Well, good luck for the rest of the year. Several battles while we got the interview there. Tate Lytle and Nick Massey took second and third from Steinmiller.
Yeah, and Ryan Lutz continues to fall. Delicato goes by. Lutz back to 6 now and will shortly fall to Whitley and Crump and Burrell.
Yep, not great there for Ryan Lutz after pounding the wall off turn 2. Steinmiller seems to have run his tires off the car. That 63 just does not have that drive that it did at the start of this race and the start of this run. I think he used to stuff up a little bit. And Delicato starting to hunt him down, and Tate and Massey have just, kind of coupled up essentially, running almost a tandem style where Massey is just right in the tire tracks of that 56 and is using him to judge those laps off of. I envision that those guys are going to have something to say to Kwame Scott before this race ends.
I know it seems almost impossible, and I think I'd probably say 90% of it is damage to Ryan Lutz, but could tire wear be aiding in his fall through the field here a little bit too?
Once you have that right front damage, the tire wear gets exponentially worse and exponentially more difficult to handle. Scott Crump almost bends it off turn 4 there. Mark Whitley's going to go after Lutz. He's going to go ahead and get him. If you're Lutz now, the car's not handling the way it was, right? And so not only are the tires old, but also the right front is plowing more than it was before. He's uncomfortable. He wants to come in, get that thing fixed. He's hoping for a caution. And that's all you can hope for at this point. You just have to manage it. Lutz is managing it by not racing these other cars. He's letting them go. He knows he's still got some reasonable pace. I don't know if Indelicato got the wall right there, but he certainly almost did. And Nick Massey has gone around Tate Lytle for that second spot.
Well, right now, if you're Ryan Lutz, there's no other option but to hang in there because you can't afford to give up any chance of picking up some halfway points here. You still got about 10 to 15 laps, but got to try to hang on to maybe the 10th position.
I think Lutz will be able to. I think his pace isn't that far off, but once he's gotten caught by one of the cars without damage, he's just simply given it up, which is not something you see from Ryan Lutz unless it's, playoff time. And Lutz is trying to win this championship, so he knows losing 1 or 2 points is okay. Don't, you lose all the points by getting in a wreck, fighting somebody that you don't need to be fighting at this point in the race. Had almost all 4 of our 2nd through 5th place drivers hit the wall in one corner there a couple of laps ago. That was nerve-wracking. Seems like once you break the draft of the car behind you, you can really pull away rather easily, but if you have someone that can stay in your draft, they can just stay there forever. Tate Lytle and Nick Massey are an example of this, where Massey just went around Tate, but Tate's able to hold that spot because Massey was, he's able to stay in the draft of Massey. Now here comes Indelicato on Hank Steinmiller, and that will go probably to, almost some contact there, and I thought it was going to be Indelicato rather easily, but Steinmiller putting up a little bit more of a fight than these guys have before, and now Steinmiller gets cleared by Indelicato. It's Rubbins Racing 1-2, Pro Edge Racing 3rd, Shifty Sports 4th, and then the Apex Sim Racing 63 in 5th. In terms of teams, the advantage definitely going to those front 2. Those guys have been fast all year, and they have come out of the gates strong here at Darlington.
Cameron Rich is finally starting to kind of claw his way up through the field. He's up to the 14th position, sitting right behind Josh Adams at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, that's just a tough qualifying effort from Cameron. He managed to get in right under the wire. So I'm sure that wasn't, the ideal qualifying effort by that 47 as he goes underneath Adams now. Try to make that pass. But he's definitely making the most of this run, and he's been followed by Bayuk and Mogard through the field, and Seth Rawls. So those guys are 15th, 17th, 18th right behind Rich, but these are the only chasers outside the top 10 right now. So it's just these 4. And Rich, that 13th spot with this halfway point coming up in the next 10 laps, not something that, Rich is going to want to see. As here comes, here comes Joe Francis on Ethan Burrell. And Francis is going to get Burrell back. Do you remember that gap Garen Turner had, Dom? Matthew Weeks is on his back bumper now.
That gap has quickly gone away for Turner. And I think Turner's fading a little bit because he was up there with that Francis Burrell group a few laps ago. So that car might be showing some tire wear as well.
Also, Nick Massey was a 10th of a second faster than Kwame Scott last time by. So just something to keep an eye on there. Maybe the 48 trying to wind up this older tires and make a run at his teammate there. We're getting close, though. Getting close to the halfway point. Nick Massey has decided it is now go time. He and Tate Lytle have really turned on the wick. They're running still in the 31-second bracket. Kwame barely kind of able to hang on to that bracket, and Tate and Nick are kind of firmly above what Scott has been running each of the last several laps. Might have had an incident there. Wesley Crump, I think, got into the wall. He's still in the wall.
And you mentioned it. You mentioned it, David. Weeks just blew by Garen Turner, so he picked up that 11th position.
Remember Matthew Weeks only missing out on the chase via tiebreaker to Ryan Lutz because Lutz had that win. That second win, so a tough break for him. But yeah, off turn 2 there, got tight on Wesley Crump. He smacks it off the fence. And then I believe they go into the next corner and he gets put in the fence again. Right there, yep, by Wyatt Nadel. Yeah, net code for sure, but still a tough break. Battle's heating up for 5th place. Mark Whitley has driven up to and caught the 63 of Hank Steinmiller.
I think he's going to be a couple laps short here, but Cameron Rich is definitely on the move. He's caught Garen Turner, looking to try to probably make a pass here in a lap or two. Matthew Weeks is a couple car lengths ahead, and they're closing in on Ethan Burrell. I think he's just going to run out of time to try to get a playoff point here at the halfway point.
Ooh, we had one around. I can't even tell who that is. Is that Harrison Talon, the 2 car? Yeah, he has not had a particularly good day. Kind of started out at the back and has kind of remained there. Let's get a replay of the incident of the 2 car as he comes down pit road now.
Just lost it out of the corner.
Yep, that's definitely something I kind of expected to see, but it's off the racing surface with no one coming on that bottom lane. I'll also go ahead and give a call to Johnny Eckert. I went ahead and sent him a request to give us those halfway results. I'm not sure if it's after lap 67 or lap 68. So I'm just getting the results directly from the race admin. As we're going to record them, going to send them to us, and we will know exactly which lap it was that they'll get those halfway points. So I think Kwame Scott's pretty safely, you can pencil him in as the first place 10-pointer. After that, it's kind of up in the air. Hank Steinmiller's under fire. Nick Massey and Tate Lytle are close together, so still should be some after 67 before 68 is what I'm expecting.
You know who might be in the most trouble?
Massey.
Who might be in the most trouble? Ethan Burrell, because Weeks is on his back bumper for that 10th position.
I wonder if there'll be a little teamwork there as Tate Lytle's going to take second over before we get to the halfway point. So that's 1 point for the 56, -1 for the 48. And now, yeah, let's see if Matthew Weeks does kind of hold off from passing his teammate before they hit that 67 mark. If not, I mean, I would understand. I know Ethan would as well. You know, Weeks has got to do what he's got to do, but it sure would help. Oh, Daniel Martinez. And remember we addressed that. He fell back there because of the pit stop, the poor pit stop, and Martinez ends up around, losing even more track position back to 27th. I want to say after this lap right here, we get the halfway point.
I definitely feel like Weeks has got a little lighter on the gas pedal here. He's pulled up to Burrell, but just kind of riding back there for the moment. So that probably answers our question.
Yep. And it's a good team, a good team effort there. If you want Ethan to have a shot at the championship later, go ahead. But, Weeks is the faster car, so I'm sure as soon as they hit this lap, as Kwame Scott takes the 10-point bonus, Weeks will jump to the inside and go around Ethan. And they're timing it perfectly. Ethan gets the spot at the line. He picks up 10th, and he lets Matthew Weeks go by right now. So they didn't wait any longer than they needed to. It makes me wonder also if Matthew Weeks had a little bit of track position, if he couldn't maybe get up here and challenge for this race win.
Yeah, the car looks real fast right now.
Ryan Lutz throwing a little bit of a block on Scott Crump there, and Lutz did hang on for 7th place points, but that's not what Ryan Lutz was looking for.
Absolutely not.
There's a three and a half second gap between Mark Whitley and Ryan Lutz right now with that 6th and 7th spot. I think Matthew Weeks is going to make short work of these 3 guys. Kind of driving with a vengeance, I would say, since he was so, dismissed from the chase based on that tiebreaker. The other guy flying through here is Cameron Rich. He's going to be by Ethan Burrell in a matter of laps.
We're closing in on about 50 laps since our last caution, so tire wear really starting to come into a factor now.
Yep. Kwame Scott has extended his lead back to 2 seconds over Tate Lytle. So Kwame doing everything right so far in this one. He has been a strong car. He and Hank Steinmiller have dominated this race. Steinmiller's fallen back to 5th on this longer run. And Scott has taken over and has been able to maintain a 2 second plus gap back to 2nd place. Ryan Lutz falls to 8th behind Scott Crump now. And with Joe Francis and Matthew Weeks right there, that could be a big battle winding up as Francis on the bottom where that car is as loose as it can be. Matthew Weeks going to be after the 50 of Francis. They almost make contact. Matthew Weeks is going to go underneath Joe Francis, and Francis gives up the spot. And the 9th now goes that 11 car.
Yeah, David, it'll be interesting to see if we get fresh tires, see how fast that 11 car is. Now that we're 50 laps into a run, he saved his tires a little bit and it's looking good, but when everyone's on even tires, it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
A lap or 2 ago, he was the fastest car on track, the 11 car, Matthew Weeks. He was faster than Kwame Scott. He and Kwame were the only 2 cars in the 31-second bracket. A couple of guys here who have some history in Weeks and Lutz.
All right, so we're 50 laps since the last caution. When do you expect these guys to start coming down pit road?
I expect these guys to start coming down pit road right as soon as they get, to be uncomfortable with their tires and to be comfortable with the amount of laps it is to the end. So the longer you stay out, the better it will be for you as a fast car. As I looked up here, and Kwame Scott's trying to lap Vincent Isabella, and he instantly got loose off a 4. They're off a 2, and it just about wrecked that 99 car, and he's having a very tough time getting around the 15. Soon. I expect these guys to come soon, but I also expect these guys to come, at different times. Where we'll have some guys short pit, and we'll have some guys run long to try to have fresher tires for the end of the race. And Kwame's having a
car in the wall. Garen Turner, I believe. Oh, no.
Oh, Harrison Talon as well. Caution is out, and Isabella holds off Kwame Scott and stays in the lead lap. So, pretty reasonable job by that 15 car. Wonder what happened there between Talon and Turner, and that throws all of our pit discussion out the window.
Hard hit.
Yep, Josh Adams had pitted, Gavin Hibbs had pitted.
Yep.
Oh man, and Talon comes up.
Wasn't quite clear.
He had fresh tires also, so he lifted.
Rich.
He lifted. Why did Talon lift? You're the faster car, you gotta go. Garen Turner misses him. Everybody misses him to the top. Wonder if they'll put Cameron Rich at fault for that. So here comes the whole field on the pit road now.
Gotta wonder if there's some damage to that 47 car now, too.
Yep. Left front fender could be crinkled.
Austin Beer is going to stay out, one of the few cars to do so.
Austin Beers stays out. I wonder if that's just a let's avoid going down pit road well, with everybody on it strategy. And Tate Lytle does, I believe, get out in front of Kwame Scott there on pit road. So yeah, here comes Beers. So Tate Lytle now the race leader. Scott second, Massey third, Nick and Delicato fourth. Carlos just reminded me of the best of the rest competition, which let me actually jump onto Sim Racer Hub and see who was leading that before. It was Josh Adams. Well, actually, it's everybody. Everybody's tied. Everybody's tied for 13th in points right now. So who's eligible for it? So whoever's the best driver out of the top, out of the non-chase drivers, those guys will all will receive, I believe, their money back from entering the race. That's like $80. Champion's going to get like $700 plus. I mean, you got to fill out like tax forms. Oh, right, but the 13th place driver is getting like $80 or something back. No, like for finishing 13th in the final points. Yeah. Ryan Lutz fixed some of that damage. He fell 2 spots back to 9th. Matthew Weeks is going to end up 8th. So he did gain a spot on pit road. So we're seeing the guys who did pit there in Gavin Hibbs, Kyle Hanshaw, Chad Bear, Josh Adams. All those guys are going to get a wave around here. They'll be on slightly older tires because they pitted before that caution came out. Also, Kwame Scott's going to pad his points lead with that halfway bonus. Though from the results that provided me by Johnny Eckert, they're exactly what we expected. So I wonder if that 36 car will be any stronger now that he's had a chance to fix some of that damage.
We will see. Looks like we're ready to go back. Green flag racing here will be coming to the green on lap number 80 of 133.
And a big thank you before we hit green to Harpoon Designs for sponsoring this race. The Harpoon Designs 200. Tate Lytle, the race leader, he's under control. And Tate's going to go. Not as big of an advantage as Hank Steinmiller got in the last restart, and Nick Massey was unable to capitalize. The battle's for 4th, and Steinmiller's going to have to yield to Indelicato right there. In fact, Mark Whitley's going to get 5th from Steinmiller.
All right, now the car I'm really curious to see is the car sitting in 7th back there of Matthew Weeks, to see what he can do here with these guys now that he's on fresh tires.
Kwame Scott right on the back bumper of Tate Lytle as Lytle leads a lap. And then Ryan Lutz. Cameron Rich got damaged as well, but Lutz's car is destroyed. Caution is out.
Not the way the defending champion wanted to start his chance to repeat here in the playoffs.
He was just in the worst possible spot, pushed up a little bit. Ethan Burrell was a little off center, and he got turned into Joe Francis, and Cameron Rich gets a ton of damage on the front nose of that 47 car. So 2, even 3 chasers involved in this incident, and including our defending champ Ryan Lutz and Cameron Rich in the 47. Oh, man.
Not even that. Not even that it's our, 3 playoff drivers. It's 3 of our biggest playoff drivers, guys that we thought really could contend for this championship, having some significant damage here halfway through.
Yeah, that's huge. Ethan just a little bit offset. Lutz was coming up, but he was coming up to kind of just be close to the door of Francis and maybe try to put some pressure on him entering turn 1. Ethan was a little offset to the left. So when Lutz comes up, he's expecting to have that little extra room, and then right when he got there, Ethan's left front nose clips the right rear of Ryan Lutz's car and shoots it into the Joe Francis car and spins them all out. Just a tough break. I don't think there's any even fault to be had there. Just very, very unfortunate for Lutz trying to make up as much ground as he can with that damage, which pushed him back in the field a little bit. One driver that this does help a lot is Matthew Bayuk in the 29. He picked up a spot on Ethan Burrell and has now entered the top 10. Bad Bear gets the lucky dog. That does also kind of help our guy Matthew Weeks there that we've been watching. He moved up a couple of spots, gets re-racked. In all likelihood, he'll be able to go at the same time his teammate Tate Lytle goes on the front row. That might help him get Stank Steinmiller and maybe even after Nick and Delicato in fourth. Message Damian Leininger and ask how much damage on that 12 or on that 36 car rather. Lutz is now 27th after that last time by, so a lot of points lost there for the 36. About a minute and 20 of damage, and that is, at least in Darlington terms, pretty vital. And he did pick up 4 halfway points, but that's still not going to salvage a 25th plus place finish.
Well, and especially since everyone other than him is sitting in the top 15 right now.
What a start to our playoffs, a chaotic race. We'll be 1 to green now. Tate Lytle and Kwame Scott still on the front row. Nick Massey, Nick and Delicato still row 2. Mark Whitley and Hank Steinmiller switch positions. Whitley's now 5th, Steinmiller now 6th, and then Matthew Weeks will be 7th. Then Scott Crump, Joe Francis, and Matthew Bayuk round out the top 10. Our playoff drivers are Ethan Burrell in 11th, Jared Mogard in 12th, Cameron Rich in 13th, Seth Rawls in 15th, and then Ryan Lutz back in 27th place.
All right, here we go. Let's try this for a 4th time. Harpoon Design 200 from Darlington. Back to the green flag we go. Tate Lytle gonna lead the way.
He waits on it this time. Wait till they get off the corner for Tate to go. In fact, he waited almost as long as you possibly can. It stacks the outside up. Massey's going to have a run at Kwame Scott. Mark Whitley's also going to have a run at Kwame Scott. Massey clears the 99. Whitley won't be able to get there. And that does open the door for Matthew Weeks to get around Hank Steinmiller. So Weeks is now 6th. They're side by side off of 2. That was Joe Francis and Scott Crump side by side. The top 7 break away. Tate Lytle, Nick Massey, the top 2. Kwame Scott 3rd, and Kwame might have the faster car among those 3. So the question is, how long does it take that 99 to go around the 48? His teammate, he might get a little bit of a a benefit from that. But then how long does it take him to get around the 56? Here comes Mark Whitley. Kwame Scott gave Nick Massey a bit of a break there. Coming off of 2, and Whitley went on the attack. Couldn't get anything done there through 3 and 4. The bottom just so slick. Tough to make any passes work.
Well, you're watching that battle of playoff guys up front, David. This group back here, the second group right around the top 10, being pretty aggressive too. I think they know it's go time, that they need to get up here and fight with these guys. Burrell Mogard looking to try to get around Francis any way they can at the moment.
It's losing a spot to Garen Turner right there. That won't help things for one of our more consistent playoff drivers. Rawls hasn't really been challenging for any of these race wins, but he has been good at getting that about 10th or 15th place result each and every week. Johnny Thomas has cracked the top 20. Ryan Lutz is up to 24th. The car's not completely destroyed, though they kind of feel like it is in that camp. But every point Ryan Lutz can pick up is one more point that he won't have to recover in the next coming races. Tate Lytle's been completely unable to drive away from Nick Massey and Kwame Scott. Single file line, 7 cars long.
They're starting to break up now a little bit. It looks like a 4-car breakaway starting to develop. They've dropped off, and Delicato, Weeks, and Steinmiller off the back a little bit.
Right. Yep, there's a battle now as Weeks goes after Indelicato. It looks like Indelicato may be holding up the 11 and the 63 just a little bit here early in the run, but it's going to have to be on the bottom that Matthew Weeks makes this move in 3 and 4. That has been the treacherous zone, but thus far, okay. Weeks will have to jump into turn 1, and he will get Nick Indelicato. Move Matthew Weeks up, move Indelicato back, the highest non-chaser now in the top 5. Scott Crump still blinking in and out of this race. At 51, maybe a little bit fortunate to be in the position he's in, having not blinked into someone to the point of having terminal damage.
Mark Whitley trying to hang with these front 3 too, as they're starting to just slightly gain a little gap between them. Oh, Massey in the wall.
Yep, Massey clipped the wall there. Don't know that he did any damage to it. He didn't even lose enough of a run there to let Kwame Scott jump underneath. So I think that was maybe the lightest wall tap we've seen from anyone. In fact, he pulled away from Kwame Scott on that lap. Yeah, they ran almost identical lap times overall. Kwame probably had to lift out of the gas because the 48 bounced it off the fence. He almost did it again. Whatever line that is, Nick Massey's running, it's working. He's running down Tate Lytle, but he's playing with fire coming off of turn 2. There is no discernible damage on that 48 car that we can see anyway. For whatever reason, it seems the racing gods have blessed Nick Massey today. Because I know Tate Lytle's run into the wall, gotten a little bit of visual damage. We've seen Hank Steinmiller get it. We've seen Ryan Lutz get it and be affected so adversely that he ends up wrecked.
Nick Massey just got a glitch today.
The old Darlington stripe, as it were. For what it's worth, Lutz falling back to 27th now. And Wesley Crump got the wall again in turn 1 that last lap. Matthew Weeks has also pulled out just a little bit, about 3/10 over Nick Indelicato. Indelicato seems like he's still holding up Hank Steinmiller for that 6th position. I am impressed with Mark Whitley. You know, I was looking at the 77 car. There is a little crinkle in the right rear fender of Mark Whitley's car. I've been wondering if he's running with damage, whether from bouncing it off the wall or from, you know, contact on a restart or something. But either way, that 77 car able to keep up with them, though I don't know if he's able to do anything with this front three. He's still right there. Little check mark. That right front looks okay. It's the right rear that looks a little bit crinkled, but can't be affecting that 77 very much. He's putting down some good laps.
He's holding his own right now.
Yep, last time by 30.96. This that was right at the same speed Kwame Scott ran. Right at the same speed everybody ran. Everybody ran a 39.4, 39.5. Whitley ran a 39.6. He's right there.
Massey for the lead.
Yep, here comes Nick Massey. That bottom in turn 3 and 4, though, man, that is such a tough place to pass. And here comes Kwame Scott on Massey. So that attempt by Massey opened the door for Scott, and then now turn 1, a little bit easier of a place to pass.
Tate Lytle, your race leader. Holding off Kwame Scott now as he closes in. Massey falls back to 3rd. Mark Whitley in the 4th position. .33 laps left to go here in this one. Looks like Scott and Lytle now have pulled away just slightly from Nick Massey, put a little distance between the two of them.
Back, by the way.
Good. I'm glad you're back.
I think Kwame Scott's going to have a. He's going to make quick work to Tate Lytle here within the next couple of laps.
Yeah, since Massey made that run, he's faded back a little bit here. He's fallen off the pace of these front two. Here he comes. Kwame Scott to the inside. Takes a look, nothing there.
Turn 3's just not. Turn 3's just not the place you want to be making these moves.
We'll see if he takes a look here going into turn 1. Not quite close enough to do anything though.
You want to be making that move down the front straight away. I've kind of gathered is that's the best place you can make a pass. Scott's really kind of hanging the right rear out on this 99 car, but it's working for him. Trying to close that gap down ever so slightly is Kwame Scott. Nick Massey waiting in the wings. Mark Whitley's falling back a little bit. Matthew Wheat's starting to kind of reel in Whitley.
Yeah, I'm watching that 11 car. The gap is closed over the last couple laps.
He's running him down.
I think it might come down to 2 cars. It might be, if this thing stays green, the 11 and the 99.
Remember, though, this is still turn 3. Kwame keeps getting a good run off of 2, but he's unable to make any moves on Tate in 3 and 4. He just watched Massey completely lose out on 2nd place because of trying to make a move in 3 and 4. So here comes Weeks in turn 1. So this is the optimal place to pass. Mark Whitley not giving it up so easily.
He's going to have to work for it, and now Whitley has to let him go.
Yep. It's that or wreck both cars, and that's the kind of advantage of passing in turn 1 is you can essentially force the other car to give you that spot. And now Indelicato trying to take advantage on the inside, but we've seen how treacherous that can be.
See if it works out down the front stretch here. He held on through 3 and 4. Whitley looks like he's going to hold on to the position.
Yep, good driving by Mark Whitley. Good driving by Delicato to not run into each other. And there's a caution now. Garen Turner around. I think among others. I think there was more than one that fell back there. Oh, man. It's going to be Ethan Burrell and Garen Turner. Ethan's going to have some pretty significant damage on the 37.
Yep, takes that shot right there to the nose.
For the second time this race. Yeah, for the second time this race, though, Ethan Burrell ending up turning another car and receiving damage in the process. Oh, yeah, he hasn't been at fault for either incident, but he's just been at the wrong place at the wrong time, it seems, coming off of turn 4. That changes everything, because Tate Lytle seems like is able to hold off Kwame Scott early in the run. But as the run goes, Kwame seems to have a faster car. Now the max run length has been cut down. It's going to be under 30 laps. So now it's going to be who can get off pit road first right here, and Tate Lytle has that first pit stall after winning the vault.
It's going to be under 25 laps, actually, so it's going to be a pretty short run here.
Nick Massey is leaving a huge gap to Kwame Scott here. That might be enough to give Scott the spot. Well, you know why Lutz did that. He wants that bonus point of leading a lap. Here we go. Tate Lytle off pit road first. Kwame Scott's going to lose a bunch of time.
Yeah, he had a very bad pit stop.
Not sure what he did. Let me look. Did he slide it through the box? Yeah, he did. Kwame had to put her in reverse. Slide it back a little bit.
So Lytle's going to win the race off pit road. Massey will come out second. Whitley third. And Delicato will be fourth.
I think Kwame sped too. He's going to the back. A very costly mistake for Kwame Scott, the points leader and the halfway point getter. Oh, and Matthew Weeks making a similar mistake. They're both headed to the back. Bring him up. Ooh. I also don't think I can. There's no Kwame Scott here.
Matthew Weeks, it's not quite, I mean, it's still not good, but not quite as detrimental as it is for Kwame Scott.
And look at what it's done to the running order here. Jared Mogard now to 10th, Seth Rawls now to 11th, and that's before Ryan Lutz pits. I assume Lutz will pit. All right, well, Ryan Lutz might just be staying out and seeing what happens. Yeah, we can do that. Or we can bring up his spotter, Damien. Which one do we want to do? All right. Hey, spotter Damien, it's David in the booth. You got me?
Yeah.
Are y'all pitting? Looks like you are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, never mind.
That was a driver call, not mine.
All right. Well, were you going to keep him out there?
I was.
Ooh. This just in, folks. Ryan Lutz didn't want to stay out there. We'll differing call between spotter and driver. Perfect, too. We called him up right as he decided. All right. Tate Lytle, Nick Massey, the front row. Among the playoff guys who have fallen by the wayside in this one, Ethan Burrell, Cameron Rich, Ryan Lutz, Kwame Scott. So maybe your four favorites, if you had to pick four. I mean, maybe you wouldn't pick Ethan, but I think Dom did pick Ethan. So yeah, I mean, maybe the three are your four favorites right there. All three of our picks, Kwame, Ethan, Rich, are all in the back right now. Plus Lutz, for good measure, the 2021 champion. Coming to green. 22 laps to go. Tate, Lytle, Nick Massey, Whitley, and Indelicato. Green flag is out. Bayou did not get a good start. Whitley's going to be side by side with Massey entering turn 1. Whitley going to try to clear Massey. He's not going to get there. Whitley's going to spin. Oh, man. Mark Whitley with an incredible save. He's still not saving this round.
Now he's going.
Whitley spins in front of the field, and Indelicato gets the wall. Light damage to the 77. And it looks like everyone else made that work without collecting any more cars.
That could have been disaster for some of our points drivers right there.
Was disaster for one of them. Mark Whitley falls to the back now, trying to hang on to it on the bottom. It's just so tough if you can't, drive that one line, that one Darlington line where you dime it up off the top of the racetrack. Whitley having to hold the car to the left throughout while being on the gas pedal, and winds up spinning it out. And Indelicato gets the wall pretty good here too. Well,
that's one or two. That's 1 or 2, but that easily could have been 4 or 5.
And also, he definitely has damage on the right rear now. Man, what a tough break. Mark Whitley really had a chance to win this race. And then there were, what, 5? 6? 6 playoff drivers. 7 playoff drivers. There are still 7. Seth Rawls up here in 9th. Matthew Bayuk's now going to be, what, 5th? I guess he's 7th. He was just pulling up. Jared Mogard has found a way to get into the top 10, and with only 20 laps to go, barring some huge issue, Mogard will have gone from 26th up to 10th or higher, which is an incredible result given his qualifying. A couple of call-outs too. Cooper Johnson's hit the wall in this race. He is 11th. Austin Beers and Vincent Isabella. Isabella was almost a lap down on that long green flag run. Fought Kwame Scott hard. Now he's 13th. Johnny Thomas has been in a big wreck. He is 15th. We weren't expecting this race to take on an attrition factor, but it has of late, and it seems like if you're just running at the end here, that'll be good enough for a good finish.
And it's
don't
not
make
even
any mistakes.
It's not even like it's the whole field too. It just seems to be happening to the playoff drivers here, either just being in the wrong spot at the wrong time or whatever the case might be. But 5 out of the 7 having trouble, or 5 out of the 12 having trouble here.
Mm-hmm. And the rest of the top 7, or the other 7, are all in the top 10. So it's not like there's any even mediocre results right now. It's you either didn't have any trouble or you ended up towards the back. Tate Lytle might, depending on how far up Kwame Scott can get in the next 19 laps, Tate Lytle might be able to take the points lead away. Or Nick Massey, depending on which one, sorts this win out. And Indelicato's right there too, depending on how much damage is on the 0-1 car. $1 to go here.
We'll try it again.
Indeed, and Tate Lytle chooses the bottom. Then it'll be Nick Massey on the outside. Indelicato will be on the bottom. Scott Crump has now risen to 4th. Hank Steinmiller will be 5th. He's been up front all day and led laps. Joe Francis is 6th. Then it will be Matthew Bayuk in 7th. Jared Mogard 8th. Seth Rawls 9th. And Josh Adams in 10th. with coming to 17 laps to go once we hit the start-finish line. Here in the Harpoon Designs 200. Tate Lytle, the race leader. Pace car's off. And he goes very early this time. Caught everyone by surprise, and there not one of the lanes wasn't able to get much of an advantage on the other. Massey able to cut Indelicato off for that second spot.
I think it might be these two up front to battle it out for the race win here, unless Indelicato can find some speed.
Too wide in the back of the field. Ethan Burrell able to cut to 18th on that restart. Here comes Scott Crump on Indelicato. Indelicato shoves a block. Crump now to the inside of the 0-1. Hank Steinmiller almost loses it off of turn 4. He's now side by side with Bayuk. They're going to stay side by side. Oh, Steinmiller and Bayuk in the wall hard. Josh Adams involved. Caution's out. Cooper Johnson sucked up. Oh, going to get more damage. Rich gets damage.
They're piling into each other at this point.
A huge crash there in turn 2, kicked off by two of the chase drivers, not willing to give an inch. And Kwame Scott's going to make it through scathed. He will have a little bit of damage on the right side, but not as bad as some of these others. Steinmiller might be done for the night. Bayuk's probably done for the night. Oh, baby. So the two of Steinmiller and Bayuk get in the wall, and it slowed them up so much. Rawls, I think, hit the wall. Rich has nowhere to go. Piles into Steinmiller and into Rawls. Kwame's only going to get damage on the right and, well, he get damage on the left and right side there. Whitley avoided damage, I believe. Looked like netcode to me. Burrell, Rich, Lutz, Kwame, all receiving damage in that one. On view on board from Ethan Burrell. Just nowhere to go, hole closed up on him. So Bayuk hit the wall to start to kick this off as we watched on the board with Johnny Thomas. He's going to shoot to the bottom, and I think just get sucked into it. Yep, right there, nowhere to go. Yep. So I'm watching the Bayuk and Hank from as many angles as I can get it. And they were pretty clean. Hank doesn't really move anywhere. Bayuk bounces it off the wall, corrects a little bit low, and goes down and corrects it to about 3 inches above where Hank's car is. Hank's car then hangs a right. So I'm going to go with that has to be a netcode incident between these two. I'm sure they're not happy about it, but I don't think there was going to be a problem until Hank's car turned right. We need to go on board with Michael Goodman on this one. He was maybe the only car to slow down for this wreck. There was a lot. It's just a very difficult place for a wreck. Very difficult to see the stopping or the time to stop right here. So you just see guys just piling into it. Maybe Goody, maybe Daniel Martinez. One of those guys that got slowed down for it. Our guy Goody, lead commentator for ERSCA on Thursdays. There were 3 crashes happening there. Look at that. Matthew Weeks spun before this wreck even happened. Daniel Martinez, Goody, were able to stop and get through it. Everybody else just piled into that one. We need to go back and take a look at Matthew Weeks' turn 1 there as well. Wyatt Nadel checked him up, and then Kwame Oh, right there. There it is. Just look at that. 3 guys. Whitley spun 2. Man. Look at that. Right. Then, you know, it's Kwame, Rich, Nadel, Garen. And then they come off of turn 2 and everyone else has wadded it up. All right. So all right, we're about to go back racing. Still have 3 guys. Still have three chase drivers that can win this race. Everyone else is just kind of. Yeah, this has been a wild one for sure. So Lytle, Massey, and Delicato the top 3. Crump still 4th. Francis still 5th. Mogard now up to 6th. You got Seth Rawls is there in 7th. Austin Beers 8th. Isabella 9th. My Hand 10th. Kwame Scott will be 12th on this restart with damage. That might not matter though.
I think
Here we go.
everybody else has it. Everybody else that deep has it too.
Green flag is out.
Massey, horrible start.
Crump to the inside. He's going to get a run on Massey. So in Delicato now to 2nd. And Crump, Massey, that'll be the battle for 3rd. Looks like Massey will be able to hold it. But now Mogard gets to 5th.
Missed the shift or spun the tires?
Spun the tires for sure. Oh, Isabella almost wrecks it off of 2. Oh, and he did. He took out Kwame Scott. Look at that. Oh, good. He slowed up for the last one. Didn't get this one.
Weeks just barely missed it right there.
Oh, and Daniel Martinez gets wrecked at the end. So that. Oh, would Scott Crump wreck? Into turn 3. Mogard gave Crump a shot into turn 3, and Crump got into the wall. Ethan Burrell's manually disconnected from the race as well, so my goodness. All right, so right in front of Kwame, Isabella gets loose. Hooks it right back up in front of him. Nah, probably not. And then Robert Hill's going to get damage on the inside wall. Goody gets run over there. We got to go on board Matthew Weeks, I think, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goody was slowing down. He got hit by Robert Hill right there. Severe damage avoided, but poor Daniel Martinez. Here it is. Trying to get around some of these guys that have that damage. You can see it's affecting Bayuk, it's affecting Rich. But then the wreck. Ooh. What a job. Cameron Rich going to avoid it. Kwame Scott staying out. He is not pitted. He is still 11th with that damage.
He's now officially driving a modified car.
Oh man, I just hate that for Daniel Martinez. So late. Cameron Rich also doesn't have a front end. Mark Whitley has climbed back to 10th, by the way, in all this chaos. He coming off pit road? What's he doing down there? Right. So now Massey will start right behind Tate Lytle also. That is the other thing this restart is now done. Nate Delicato will be front row.
Jared Mogard is now into the top 5.
Yep, Mogard has really risen up. Austin Beers is now 6th. We haven't talked about him much all day. Francis 7th.
One more impressive than Mogard. Dallas Myhan's up 24 positions to the 9th spot.
Yeah, good job. Good run for Myhan, though he is not a playoff driver, and Mogard's coming at this time so opportune to be able to avoid some of the carnage here tonight and step into that 5th spot. Maybe he'll be a championship threat once we get into the championship crunch time. But Mogard won Daytona and then ended up having to take a wild card spot. Get in.
Couple more nights like this though, and he'll be right in the thick of it.
Exactly. This is how you cement yourself. All right. A little bit of contact there between the 36 and the 99. Huh. I'm willing to bet Ryan Lutt's not terribly happy with that 99 car after that. Well, it didn't look like the contact was too hefty, but yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Yep. Here we go. Also, for what it's worth, and I just now noticed this, wish I had noticed it before, Gavin Hibbs was 2 laps down at one point. He is now 11. So, in his ERSCA debut, able to make that comeback. Here we go. Tate Lytle again on the bottom of the racetrack. Under control. He'll go early. Massey able to get a good run on Indelicato off of turn 4. We hit the green flag, but Massey will not be able to continue that run. Indelicato clears Massey. Massey will now battle with Scott Crump. It's a 2-car race now. Oh, man. Tight off 2. Three wide for Austin Beers, trying to get underneath Jared Mogard. He will think better of it. Tate Lytle in control now. Indelicato did get some crash damage in one of these earlier incidents. See how much that affects the 0-1 car. Lytle a little loose off of 2 there. And it will allow Indelicato to get back to him. Who did? Yeah, Indelicato just turning it on here late in this race. Nick Massey trying to close down that gap. Seth Rawls up to 6th. Whitley up to 8th. Scott back to 12th. With that damaged yellow flag. Once again, Tate Lytle will have to endure one more restart, though that kind of seals the deal that he'll be talking to us. It'll be hard for him to give up that early gap. Ryan Lutz gets into Wesley Crump. Crump hits the wall a couple of times and then spins down the front straightaway. Ryan Lutz has recovered into the top 20, by the way. Crump just gets behind on his steering after that contact. Crump's certainly one of those cars that has been through the ringer tonight. Oh, and Lutz just got disqualified.
24X.
Oh, yep. Oh, and Lutz hits the qualifier mark. First time we've seen that. The incident DQ limit, 25X. Ryan Lutz hits it.
It's the wrong time to hit it right now.
Yep. Oh my. I didn't expect that to come into effect. We hadn't seen it be required at all. Lutz will fall to 25th or 26th. Hank Steinmiller is going to finish 29th in this race. Ethan Burrell is going to finish 30th. So those are 3 guys that are going to be hard-pressed to close the gap that they now have to the points leaders. Which Lytle, Indelicato, Massey, Jared Mogard, Seth Rawls, and Mark Whitley, your top 6 chase drivers in the top 8 on the racetrack. Kwame Scott got 10 halfway points, but he's back in 12th. Matthew Bayuk, all that damage, he's back in 21st. Cameron Rich is 19th. My goodness, this race has gone completely insane.
Gonna be a green-white checker to finish this one out here.
I think we only have one green-white checkered available. Could be wrong about that.
Are we in extra laps here, or is this still in regulation?
We have 2 green-white checkers available. It says GWC 1 out of 2 in my top left corner there, so we could potentially do it again, but we are currently at regulation, so this is green-white checker number 1. We will have 1 second opportunity, and then this race will be over on the next flag after this attempt. Hopefully we can just end it here. Yes. All the damage, Kwame Scott is still 12th. I'm a little surprised that car has as much pace as it does.
Oh, he hasn't had too long of a run here, so
He was able to maintain 12th on that, what, it's like 4 or 5 laps. No front end. Darren Turner's been around a couple times today. He's up here in 12th. Gavin Hibbs is into the top 10. He was a couple of laps down at several points during this race. Matthew Weeks has been around, had a speeding penalty. He's 14th. Chad Bear's been a lap down. He is now 15th, 16th maybe. We've seen Michael Goodman's adventures. 17th. Johnny Thomas is now 18th. He was one of the first cars involved in an incident. Here we go. Tate Lytle. To decide it, pace car is in. How early does Tate Lytle go?
he's gonna wait.
Now he goes. Scott Crump spins the tires. Seth Rawls and Gary Mogard are around. So much for their good playoff run there for Mogard. And Kwame Scott's going to get pushed into this. Yep.
Another pile up.
All right, so that's it. Then we will have one more attempt, and if that doesn't go well, it'll be done.
Kwame Scott's got to be getting close to that 25x too.
Yeah, he is. I'm willing to bet he's not there yet, though. Lutz had that contact so early in the race. Scott Crump, the one who starts this, kicks it off. He just hangs a right. Seth Rawls nowhere to go. Beers nowhere to go. Mark Whitley involved. The gain that Tate Lytle and Delicato and Massey may end up getting here. Really strong, though it has given. Yeah, for sure. We got to shout out Johnny Eckert, Kyle Hanshaw, and Johnny Thomas, of course, for putting this thing on and trying to ensure that everyone is satisfied. Looking, Joe Francis, one of those guys involved, he had been in the top 5 all night long. And one of the faster cars tonight. Gavin Hibbs is going to get through this. He's going to have a shot at a top 5 finish, which, like I said, he's 2 laps down. Dallas Myhand, we might have to go on board with Myhand. He snuck through that in a gap where I don't know that there was any sort of room to get through, and he got through it. He'll now be 7th. Man, look at this. Oh. I don't know if we caught it. I think he was blinking a little bit, but they were coming up, and they took out the car right behind him. My, oh my. Call Me Scott's back to 18th. Cameron Rich is up to 14th. Mogard is 15th. Rawls is still 6th with the damage. Whitley is 19th. Bayou 22nd.
We got one more shot at this thing.
Yep. As soon as the caution, the next flag ends the race. As soon as we get the green. Not as long as it's not the white. Yeah, as long as it's not the white flag. White flag is normal. Yeah. Next time something happens, then that's it. Goodman hits the wall. Hanshaw's gonna break and get through this. Steinmiller doesn't. Oh, that was Daniel Martinez. Yeah. He's another one that might be nearing that incident limit. Same for Wyatt Nadel. Same for Campbell. Mogard falls to 15th with that, so. Oof. One more attempt for Tate Lytle, and Carlos, I don't know if you remember back where we ran an ERSCA race at Darlington, and it ended up going much like this. But I've been in the. Yeah, we are. I've been in that position that Tate Lytle's been in, and it's nerve-wracking, but you end up with that advantage on those restarts so that you feel pretty safe as the race leader. You know that these guys are going to run over each other behind you, and it's what's happened for Tate Lytle. Let's go on board with Cameron Rich as well at the behest of Johnny Eckert. And this might be one of those moves that you look back on in 10 races time and say, ooh, this might have won him the championship right here. That is an incredible job of wreck avoidance by Cameron Rich. We lost Dom out of the session. I hope he's still in the broadcast with us. Might just be me the rest of the way. All right. Here we go. Tate's car off. Tate Lytle. Side by side with Indelicato. Nick Massey right behind. The only 3 playoff drivers with a chance to win this race. Lytle goes late. Indelicato does not get a good start. And Lytle clears for the lead. That might be all she wrote. Massey falls into 3rd. Looking for the caution behind. The cleanest restart we've had in a long time. Mogard trying to make up spots. They're trying to wreck down the back straightaway. No matter. And they do wreck. Beers, Isabella, Whitley, yellow flag is out. Tate Lytle is going to win the belly up, or the Harpoon Design 200 at Darlington. Caution is out. Race official. Is that the Harpoon? I swear it was the Harpoon one. Anyway. Tate Lytle wins. Indelicato is going to be 2nd. Nick Massey is going to be 3rd. We'll have an all-chase podium of drivers that we'll interview. Scott Crump will get 4th. Gavin Hibbs with an impressive debut. He ends up 5th. Seth Rawls will take 6th. Chad Bear takes 7th. Matthew Weeks recovers from a speeding penalty and being involved in one of the wrecks to finish in 8th. Dallas Myhand will finish 9th. And Garen Turner rounds out the top 10. He actually ran top 10 all day long. Winds up having some misadventures to get there. Johnny Thomas will take home 11th. Robert Hill takes 12th. Jared Mogard's going to get 13th. Mark Whitley's going to get 14th. Couple of chasers there. Michael Goodman's going to be 15th when all is said and done. No, sorry, Michael Goodman's going to be 16th. It's going to be Joe Francis. That's 15th. Kwame Scott's going to finish 17th. Cameron Rich is going to finish 18th. Matthew Bayou 20th. Steinmiller 28th. Burrell 29th. Ryan Lutz will finish back at 36th. There's a replay of the incident. Beers tried to disconnect to get out of the way. It didn't matter. Isabella slides up onto the track and causes that last caution to wave from iRacing, and that's it.
It's only the second time that I've been here with ERSCA. David, I think you missed the one race when you were having the... I think you missed the other time, but this is the second time I've had this happen where we have actually not completed a race here in ERSCA.
I mean, Tate Lytle's the race winner. Massey and Delicato as well. Got to get them in here for interviews. I don't see Massey on the list, so we'll start with that. Tate Lytle, Massey to join. So Tate Lytle and Delicato Massey, the top three, as we said. That's it for the time. And Seth Rawls finishes in 5th or 6th. That's the only chase drivers in the top 10. Then Mo Gardbeck in 13th, Whitley in 14th, Kwame in 17th, Cameron Rich in 18th. My goodness. Let's bring up Nick and Delicato. I guess he's. Oh, let's bring up Nick Massey, 3rd place finisher. Nick Massey, it's David in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Nick, it looked like a little bit of a close race between you, Tate, and Kwame there for a while, but in the end, it seemed like it was just a survival race. Take us through your night, and then let us know if you thought you had anything if they could have gone green.
Yeah, it was a good race there until the last, 20 laps, 25 laps or so. But yeah, it was kind of me, Tate, Kwame up there. Lutz was up there too for a little bit, and then he had some issues. But yeah, it was fun. I think Kwame was a little better than me and Tate. It was so hard to pass without somebody messing up. But then Kwame got that speeding penalty there, lap 75, 80, whenever that caution happened, and I thought I was gonna have a shot at Tate, but it just never had, like, caution after caution after caution. And I had one good restart where I cleared for second, and I was maybe was gonna have a shot at Tate in the next couple laps, but then the string of yellows kept happening. But yeah, I wish we could have raced it out. But good points tonight. I mean, Kwame had that big lead coming in, and he had a speeding penalty, and then Lutz had his issues too. So I think we're back up in this points battle, race 1. So we'll take that for sure. But yeah, overall fun night, solid night. I was trying to get Delicato on one of those starts, but he was getting good launches from the outside, which was hard to do, because especially on older tires, because that outside was really slick. I spun the tires real bad one time, and Scott cut me a break. I thought I was going to get hooked for sure, because I botched it pretty bad. But yeah, all in all, pretty good night.
Yeah, and Nick, at one point, you dove to the inside while you were running second on Tate, and it seemed like in turn 3 and 4 was just not the place to pass, and it ended up costing you that second spot. Obviously it worked out for you in the end, but because the guy who passed you ended up like 18th. But take us through that attempt to pass. It looked like you were going for the lead there, and then all of a sudden you were just off the back of the front two.
Yeah, I had Kwame right on me too, and I think Whitley or somebody was right on him. So, I had a couple. Tate slipped up a couple times, but I don't know if it was enough for me to dive it off in there. Maybe, but it was just so hard to decide if to make that move, because if you dive in there and don't complete the pass like I did, you could lose 2-3 spots or whatever it is. So, I might have been a little better than Tate at that point, but I just had to kind of. Maybe I overthought a little bit. I don't know. Maybe at one of those times I had a good shot at him, but yeah, I had a little run on him right there, and I decided to just, try it. Why not? Because Tate was braking a little earlier than me going into 3, so I thought I might have a shot to maybe catch him off guard a little bit, but didn't happen. And Kwame got by me, and I don't know if he took the lead at that point. I think he took second, and then we had a yellow, and then he got the speeding penalty. But yeah, it was so hard to pass without somebody really slipping up or getting the fence a little bit.
So, with that, give us some shout outs here and then let us know how you're feeling about the next race, the location of which I'll grab before you're done.
Yeah, that'd be good to know because I don't know either. So
yeah. We'll be there.
But yeah, feeling pretty good now. Shout out to teammate Kwame. He was up there all night. Just had his little pit road incident, but hopefully he got it out of the way early in this chase because I'm sure we'll all have our incidents going forward. Looks like he was about to recover for a little bit, and then he just kept wrecking. But shout out to Spotter Chris, Josh, you guys up in the booth, and shout out to Tate too, because he was ran a good race and was working with me a little bit early on. So definitely shout out to him coming in here and getting the dub first race.
Yep, and it's Iowa next week, so.
Oh, I think we're feeling pretty good about that. We'll see. Depends on the setup, but it's been good to me in the other cars. I haven't ran the B car there in a long time, but we shall see. Should be exciting.
All right.
Though.
For sure. Well, thanks, Nick. Congratulations on the podium, and good luck the rest of the chase.
And thanks, guys. Oh, shout out to Gavin too for finishing P5 first start. Pretty cool. So shout out to him too.
Yeah, he came from 2 laps down to do that too. So.
Oh,
good
wow.
stuff.
Yeah.
That was Nick Massey, P3. Let's get the other Nick Indelicato, who finished second. Nick, it's David in the TV booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Nick, looked like you got the wall there at one of those instances. I think when Whitley spun in front of you. Did that hurt the car at all, or were you able to kind of get close to Tate there on that one green-white checkered where it looked like you maybe had something for him?
No, I don't think it hurt the car at all. I feel like it was kind of just placebo effect. I felt like it hurt the car. I think if we would have gone green the first green-white checkered, I would have had a shot. It was so hard to pass here, though. I was going to, my game plan was if I got to him, it was all about the run I get off to and make a, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, whatever you want to try to do there, move going into 3. So I wasn't going to be dirty about it. A top 3, top 5 is huge for this playoff, especially with some of the bigger names, being lower in the standings during this race. So goal is to come home clean, got a 0x, so that's even more points, and got stage points.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with a second place run and with a lot of your competitors kind of falling by the wayside here on the points, especially Kwame, does this give you kind of a good launching point going forward in the chase to make a run at the championship? And are you thinking that far ahead yet?
No, I mean, you're thinking that far ahead, but you're not. I mean, I knew at some point I'm already 16 points behind to start off the playoff. So it's like you need one of these guys to have a bad race, and if they don't, it's going to be even harder. But I'm not saying that puts me in the safe zone. I could easily have a bad race. I could be wrecked out next week. Whatever could happen. Anything can happen. So it was just good to get out of Darlington, which is a sketchy track. With a top 2 or top 5.
Right, and Iowa next week, another one of these tracks with the tire wear and the driver mentality where it's going to be difficult to pass. What are you going to do at Iowa to be able to maintain this gap?
Yeah, for sure, it's going to be hard to pass. That's for sure. You're going to see a lot of slide jobs. You're going to see a lot of guys, getting tight into each other, whatever it is. You can run the top, you can run the bottom, you can run the middle, but they're really all even. So the goal, save tires, do what I can, but, today I had a top 10 qualifying spot and stayed there the whole race. So that's the goal. If I'm running low top 10, I'm going to try to get the best finish I can. If I have a shot at the end, I'm going to go for it.
All right, man. Well, any shout-outs before we send you off here after the second place run?
Yeah, once again, shout out to my team, Shifty Sports. If you see a lot of the pink, that's us. Great run by us tonight. We had 3 in the top 10. Unfortunately, Matthew Bayou didn't finish where he should have with his incident, but nonetheless, a great run by all of us tonight. So shout out to Shifty Sports and our main sponsor, the Mohawk Foundation. Great group of people. Check them out on Twitter. Go support the cause. Again, you see all the pink cars every week. That is for them. They're great people. And if you like the paint schemes, make sure you check out SR Design. Seth Rawls, who does race with us, makes great paint schemes and make all of ours for the team.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on the second place finish, and good luck next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for the broadcast.
Second place finisher Nick and Delicato. Now let's talk to race winner Tate Lytle. Tate, congratulations on the win, man.
Yeah, that was something of a race. Glad we could just kind of optimize our finishing position there. I think Kwame obviously had the best car, but he lost it on pit road, and then I was probably I was even with like Weeks and Massey and Indelicato. I would call it second, third, fourth place speed, but we just kind of hung around the whole race. Had a really good qualifying effort. Hung around there and just kind of did what we could do. Got the lead on pit road, and then he sped on pit road, and that was kind of the start of the what's a term I can use on a broadcast? Crapshoot. Yeah. I don't know what was going on back there, but I just caution after caution after caution. I mean, obviously it worked out for me, but not what anyone that's watching wants to see, and not what you guys want to be watching it as well. And it's not really how you want to win them either. It's about as least excited as I've been winning a race in a while, just because didn't have to do a whole lot. All I did was not speed on pit road and then just not miss a shift, and that's all it really took those last 30 laps. So
hey, I've won one like this. You take them out, you can get them.
Yeah, I mean, it all works out in the grand scheme of things. I lost a couple in similar fashion earlier in the year, so it all works out. But gotta thank Days Gone By. We've been doing everything I can to keep them up front there. We've been doing a pretty good job here the last couple months with those Days Gone By colors. Thanks to Pro Edge Racing for the good time. Thanks to Johnny for, he's got a busy week this week doing the crash report, because it sounds like there was some sketchy business going on in the back. So shout out to him and Hanshaw and everybody that helps put this on. Shout out to you guys again for watching us race fake race cars for 2 hours. And yeah, I don't know if my dad's watching. I forgot to send him the link. I don't know if he thought about looking it up or not, but if dad's watching, shout out to him. If he's not watching, sorry, I forgot to send you the link because we won the race. But yeah, it was a fun race there at the start. Should put us up pretty close in the points with Kwame having his issues. So it's what we needed. It's not exactly how you want it to happen, but it's what we needed for points wise, and kind of puts us on a level playing ground here with 6 races to go, trying to go for a championship.
Yeah, I know you, Tate. You're gonna take it over and just give us all your thoughts there. So, my last question here would be, what do you think next week bodes for when it comes to Iowa? And then how are you already thinking about the championship in this early race? When you were giving up a spot or trying to pass in this one, or getting pole position, and even in qualifying, you won the pole. Did that seem to set the tone? Were you thinking about the championship at that point, where we can set the tone for the playoffs early and get out to the lead? Or are you just in there thinking about the race and trying to get everything you can every lap?
I mean, the championship's always at the back of your mind, but in that moment, you're just thinking about what can I do to do the best in this race. And I was 19 points behind Kwame, so my thought was just optimize my points, try and get as many as I could. I got second at halfway, but I was still behind Kwame. But I was, felt like that was as good as I could do with where we were. So it's just all about optimizing points. And next week at Iowa's probably my worst oval. I mean, I know I won there in Elite 2 weeks ago, but that was just by kind of the same way I won tonight. It was just kind of cautions fell at the right time, and everything just worked out strategy-wise. So, I think I'll probably show up with 5th, 6th, 7th place speed, hopefully. And hopefully we can just execute and squeeze out another podium and just try and stay in it. That's easily my least favorite oval track. So it's, we'll do what we can, and it's a long ways to go. 6 races is a lot. It's a lot of laps. It's a lot of hours. I mean, we still got 12 hours of racing to do before anyone's crowned champions. So we just got to control what we can control and hope things fall in our direction. But I mean, it's a stout field, man. I mean, you got Nick, Kwame, obviously Lutz and Ethan had their issues tonight. Hank's really coming on strong. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Crump didn't even make the playoffs.
Yep.
Cameron Rich. I mean, it's got a lot of fast guys, man. I was just telling those guys in the other room, you know, it's hard for some of these guys to accept, but somebody's got to run 7th.
Yep.
You know,
That's
we're all
what's happening.
we're all used to, in our other leagues, we're used to winning races often. We're used to running top 3 every time. Guys like Lutz and Kwame still does here, but guys like that, they're used to running, you know, top 2 or 3 everywhere they go, and someone's got to run 7th, and it's hard for some of these guys to accept. And next week will probably be our chance to run 7th, but we'll just try and control what we can control and, you know, squeeze out a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place finish there. So you never know, maybe a win. We won there a couple weeks ago in Elite. If things fall the right way, racing's racing. You can have a 17th place car and still win the race. So just gotta go out, execute, do what we can, and yeah, long ways to go, but lots of good tracks for us.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on the win, Tate, and we'll let you go here and enjoy the win and enjoy the week.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, race winner Tate Lytle. Let's get some final thoughts here before we sign off. Dom, any final thoughts?
I just think the race took a completely different turn than we expected, and not the way we wanted to end the first race of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was not a great finish there in terms of driver quality or like race quality, but the first 75% of the race or so was really, really good. And, you know, I think we can take the positives out of that and just know that Darlington tends to get like this on iRacing for sure. So with that, I'm David Westergreen for Dom Santina and Carlos Acosta. This has been 3 Wide TV for Belly Up Sports and ERSCA. That was the Harpoon Design Southern 200. We'll see you next week at Iowa.